do.
So like even if you as a mom, like let's say you were working and you had to go in, your maternity leave can be months to years.
Exactly.
Don't get me started.
That's what I'm saying.
On maternity
Places
leave
do
and
it.
capitalism.
Yes, but they
So-
care. Their focus
Yeah,
is different from
different.
our focus. Yes, it's people focused. Yeah.
We are not.
No,
They care
we're
about
money.
Money.
But I'm like,
Yeah.
wouldn't healthy families lead to making more money? That's more bigger families,
You would
more money
think
to
so.
spend, more people to work.
Yes,
more people-
in the grand scheme, yes.
Yeah.
But for them, people are disposable.
That's true.
So like if you got sick, they're replacing you the next day.
Literally
you know what I
disposable.
mean?
We're coming out with robots.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what an unpopular opinion is. I'm gonna share it with you after, like once we're done. Just say robots. Give out.
So before we dive into that, I had seen something about Nestle and how awful Nestle as a company is. You know that they were lobbying against maternity leave or lobbying against to shorten the maternity leave because
wrong.
to limit the ability for mothers to breastfeed so that we'd be reliant on formula.
That's so they're proving what we've been talking, what we've been trying to prove, especially in the Black and brown communities for so long. They're basically exposing themselves.
Yeah.
I believe that.
Disgusting.
Yes. So, welcome back to the Code Yellow podcast. We talk about relationships from the lens of scripture and common sense. Hey, I know what I'm doing, guys. Me and Taj are locked in. Okay. He's doing his job. He's filling his shoes. Okay. So we couldn't leave it alone. We're still talking about stress and how. Now we were supposed to talk about how stress affects relationships, but we started talking about how capitalism causes stress. Let's dive into that, and don't dox us, guys, and all the billionaires. Please leave me alone. Sorry.
Unless they want to sponsor.
Unless they want to sponsor. Come on.
Right.
Yes. To pay for all your sins, so sponsor us.
Quiet donors. We like quiet donors.
We love quiet
Hilarious.
donors. And we also love donuts because that's what it sounded like when
Yeah, no, legit.
Yeah, donuts.
Jasmine, tell us about stress and the difference between living in the States and living in Europe. Because you lived in Greece or Paris? Where'd you?
I lived in Spain. I was teaching English there. But I was 25, 26 at the time, and I was sharing with my friends here that I was the most rested I'd ever been in life. And this is without a car. I was walking everywhere. I'm in an unknown place, working at 2 schools, but everything closed at 2 p.m. for the most. Now, it was an adjustment at first. I was like, what? The store is closed. I'm trying to get stuff done. I just got off of work. But when I tell you, I pressed into that thing and I appreciated it so much. Everything shuts down. People can get off of work. They can spend time with their families. I had a scheduled nap every day. It was waiting for me. Like, I could taste it. I could not wait to get home to take my nap. And then everything opens back up around like 5, 6 p.m. and everything commences as usual. And I could definitely see how it lent to a more relaxed lifestyle. And I definitely appreciated it while I was living there for sure. Like I could go for a good siesta these days. I definitely could. But I was just wondering, as we were talking about capitalism and just the way that the U.S. runs things, like how come we don't take a page out of, the European book and implement something like that, just longer maternity leave. That would be so beautiful. Why it can be done because other people are doing it. Everyone's doing it. Apparently not, but
Apparently not. So I did a book club with a few friends, one of whom is living in the UK, and she said something about how she had a 14-month maternity leave, and was lamenting how short it was.
oh my goodness.
And I'm like,
Come
what?
to the
Right.
States.
The fact that you still have a job to go back
Yes.
to, and even in the allotted maternity leave that's here now, you find families stressing about, are they going to pull something, and will I still have my job even though, because actually someone was sharing with me,
They got
and not to
fired.
get, but not to get too off on a tangent, but I don't know if this was per that company or actually in HR world, there actually isn't maternity leave. Like it's not called that. It's not called maternity leave. So you have to be knowledgeable about like kind of like what your rights are as an employee.
FMLA and short-term
and just like the
disability.
way but around surrounding maternity leave specifically, it's not actually called that. And so, and it might've just been at this particular place. So you have to be aware of like what your rights are as an employee in order to ask for this particular thing. It functions as maternity leave, but it's not actually called that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So they can say, "Oh, you didn't give me maternity." It's like, well, we actually don't offer that. So yeah, interesting. It's really interesting, really interesting. But with that being said, with work and, you know, we talked about what stress looks like. At the end of the day, you're interacting with people even while you're experiencing stress. So how would you say stress like impacts your relationships? Mm. And does the type of relationship play a part in how the stress shows up or how it's managed?
So I think of energy day to day as kind of like a fixed resource, right? So stress does to that energy resource the same thing that debt does to your finances, where you spent X amount of money, but not really, because there's interest being built up and compounding. So whereas you might have spent $10,000, really you've spent $13,000 by the end of the year. Analogy. And then if you haven't fixed it, then it's gonna compound. That 13 is gonna compound it over into next year and stack another 4,000 on top of that. It can kind of keep snowballing like that, right? So you think you're doing the same things, but really you're bleeding on the back end. Mm-hmm. So now when it comes to you've gone to work, you've eaten, and now before you know it, it's 11:30 because you've consumed your time doing other stuff to try to catch up on your own self. And now all that time it has not been spent feeding your relationship or pouring into your spouse. Mm-hmm. Ask me how I know. Mm-hmm. You know, because it's like that weight kind of follows you and it prevents you from fully showing up for the person that matters the most.
So how did you get a wrangle on that?
How did I? Mm-hmm. What do you mean?
One thing we talked about in a previous episode is awareness. So now that you're aware and you know what it looks like, how do you attempt to address it or steer in a different direction?
So I'm usually an internalizer, right? So when I'm carrying stress, I kind of like try to deal with it on the inside. I've learned how to communicate it, not dump it, but communicate it so that Martha knows more how to show up for me. Mm-hmm. And like I've spent a lot of time getting to know her, but now it's my turn to kind of like open up and let her see me so she can be there for me as well. Mm-hmm. So because that's like the first step. If you can communicate it, if you can name it, you can tame it, you know? Yeah. So then once somebody else can hear that naming of whatever you're experiencing, now they can help you tame it and they can see your blind spots, right? So if she knows that I'm kind of like spiraling, doom scrolling or whatever, she can be like, she can kind of distract me. You know, there's lots of lovely ways a spouse can distract another spouse.
Right.
So we'll let you deal with that at home. But yeah, there's lots of, yes.
Yeah, in relationships, wow, yeah.
Wait, can I make a pun? It's like leave you to your own devices, scrolling on your device.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think stress in relationships. I don't know why. Before I was thinking about relationships, answer that question, I was just thinking about myself. Like I don't have a stressful job, but I can see how someone working at like the mall, where people need something from you every 10 seconds. Yeah. And people are crude, rude, inconsiderate, and typical human beings, how that can be like stressful or whatnot. So I kind of wanted to preface that like my job isn't stressful, thank God. But yeah, it must be pretty stressful to like work at the mall and you have like, or Walmart or Ross.
Customer service, essentially.
Yeah, customer service. You know what I mean? You know, you have like rambunctious children and then you try to talk to the child and the parents like, don't talk to my child, but your child is running amok. Yo, Lord. Okay.
That's not, retail is not for you.
Yeah, don't get me started. Lord.
I felt it.
Right.
Man. But stress in relationships, is that the question?
Yeah. Like how does well, it's multiple parts, right?
Right.
Because first, how does stress affect your relationships? And then how, I guess I'm adding this one, like how can you harness the power that is the beautiful thing that your relationship is? How do you harness that power to overcome the burdens that stress can put on us?
Yeah. I'm gonna go backwards. What you can do, right. I'm gonna go backwards. So I think that, life gets stressful.
Can I offer something?
No, you can't.
Okay.
Sometimes life gets stressful, and sometimes like I'll see that me and Jasmine, maybe we need to come back together and like do a Bible plan. Like we haven't been praying together. Like life compounds on you, and sometimes you don't connect like you need to and whatnot. So I think I've been very intentional with like, let's do a Bible plan. Like let's go back to the Father, right? I think going back to Him when you're having those moments of stress or uneasiness or whatever the case may be is very important. What were you about to say?
Okay. It was actually in your favor. I was going to say something that Zav has shared with me, like that his efforts are, even if I'm not saying, oh, this is stressful, that is stressful, his intentions are, hey, let me be proactive and try to take some things off your plate. So I tend to do a lot of things at night once the baby is asleep, but we were just talking about like that staying up late and him trying to encourage me to like, get some rest, go to sleep before she wakes up. But I'm feeling like this is my window to try to get as much done as I can, which is not, there's a limit to that as well. But I saw that to say that Zav will say like, hey, I'll do this or do that. And it may seem like a small task, but it's one less thing that I have to try to do either that night or even the next day when, it's a baby and I hanging out. So I feel that you try to perceive that as a situation, something could be stressful. It doesn't mean that it is, but he's like, so before it even gets there, let me try to take, lighten the load.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, appreciate it, teammate.
Teamwork.
Yeah, we had a conversation this week, and I was just like, I don't say it all the time, but I'm gonna like say this. Like, my job is to make your life easier. Like, you're taking care of my daughter, and like, I'm also like type A, so like. So
tell the truth.
Like things have to be in a certain way. Like the kitchen must be clean every night. Or when I didn't even grow up like that. Like I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. It's just I came into adulthood. I'm just like, well, this is how I want to live my life or whatnot. But like I'll make sure the kitchen's clean. I'm like, Jazz, don't touch the dishes. Don't touch, like, don't mop or whatnot. Don't do these little things because, like she said, like that can, taking care of a baby is a lot. So. This is for the men out there. Y'all dudes, especially y'all daddies out there, support your wives. I've been hearing talk about my Caribbean brothers. Sometimes they be like letting the wife to their own devices with the children or whatnot. But no, seriously, fellas, we got to be so intentional about taking the stress off our wives. You know what I mean? I saw this meme and it was just like, how is your wife going to have fun for playtime if she tired and stressed out with the children and she got to cook your meal and she got to clean up? It's like, bro, do your part, right? Do your part. If you watching this and you a dude and you married to a woman, do your part. She's tired, she's stressed, she's overworked, she's underpaid, like the whole bit, bro. Like legit. Like we got to make sure our wives are here for a long time, mentally, physically, emotionally. And I know all of us aren't wired like that. Rome wasn't built in a day or a night, whatever the case may be. But we need to take the stress off of our ladies.
I love the passion.
Yes.
Yeah.
More passion, more footwork.
So, yes.
Yeah. I just had a thought. So I think another aspect to the question was another aspect to looking at stress in relationships, are there different types of relationships? Mm-hmm. So like you guys have a married couple relationship, which I'm sure is very different from a mother relationship to your baby, or to use up to your coworkers, or you, Devin, when you're talking to, I don't know, somebody at the store, or one of your patients that come in for a script. All those dynamics are different because the interactions are different,
For
right?
sure.
Or even your relationship to yourself when you're stressed, right? So I think it's really interesting to maybe we can break those down because all of those make up our interactions with the world and our relationship with our world and our inner world, which is ourselves.
Yes.
You made me think about something. Y'all need to share a story and keep it real with me. about the time you've been in a stressful friendship with someone, college, a teammate, a choir member, somebody in an organization with you, and it was just stressful, and you had to like separate. Like you had to separate because, it's just like I'm not about to lose my mental health or my hair because you are a lot.
I feel like anybody who's had one instantly knows who that question is for, and I do have one. And this person's not a bad person at all. Like she's big heart. She's the type that would cook and invite all her closest people to eat, and she could throw down. One of the best people to go to for food in Southern California, in my opinion. One of the best. Now she was also quite busy. She was a PhD student, and she, busy, but still she kept a tight circle and whatever. But she always seemed to have something going on. Mm-hmm. Always seemed to have something going on and she would kind of share that, but there's only but so much you can carry for somebody, right? Mm-hmm. And that kind of relationship takes up time and energy. Mind you, we are in school we're in professional school. Ain't nobody got time to be tired and stressed about things outside of school, right? Mm-hmm. So I think it came to a kind of critical point where now like we kind of we were in the same organization, and she was a little bit ahead of me. So she was passing out of a position, and I was passing into that same position or a similar position. I don't remember exactly all the specific details, but like I'm stepping into the president role of this organization. She has stepped out. She was initially going to be in one role, and she stepped back because life was too much. I had asked her to give some aid to like the person that was taking the role, and she decided she didn't want to do that. And she sent me a whole paragraph as to why. I'm the president of this organization and another organization that responsible for another organization at the same time. So I'm like, you sending me this paragraph as to why you can't help and why you feel like I did you wrong I couldn't care. Yeah. Not like I didn't, but I just couldn't. I was like, okay, fine, whatever. Yeah. And she was mad about that. I think she tried to like kind of rehash it later, but I was just like, whatever. I don't think I got invited back to any of the dinners after that. But wow. it was just the writing was on the wall after that. I was like, I could not care anymore. Mm-hmm. I can't. I only had but this much. I'm busy too. I'm busier. I can't say I'm busier than her, or because I don't know her life. But I was like, I can't. I don't have it. I can't bear this for you.
So just a thought that came to mind with that. I think when people are highly stressed for a long period of time, it clouds your perspective. Mm-hmm. In those states, the world is you, if that makes any sense. So you're not thinking about anyone else. You're thinking about your ceiling. No one can have a more stressful life than you. No one can possibly be having more difficulty than you. And if anyone is making your life more difficult, they are the enemy. Right. So the person in your scenario kind of sounds like that, where she's just locked off her mind from considering anyone else's life, anyone else's stress, because she can't see past her own. Mm-hmm. And I think it's really easy for any person to also get locked into that, because it's very easy to become unself-aware. Yeah. If you're super stressed. Okay, so that's
I think the most stressful friendships I've had were ones where, because my default is to be helpful. Mm. So I'm really drawn to people. I feel like drawn to friendships where there's a need, or, I'm like, oh, how can I be I'm very solution oriented. So I find myself in those type of friendships, I should say. And the most stressful ones in that scenarios were where, for me, there was a lack of helping themselves. Mm-hmm. So it became very stressful, because it's like, they're my friend. And so I keep seeing ways where I want to be helpful, but it starts to be stressful for me, because I'm like, it's like, do you want it to get better? Like, I can't want it to get better more than you. And so I find myself overextending a lot, and to the point where it's like, how do I don't want to say end it, but it's like, where do I create a healthy boundary? Because unfortunately, I allowed it there may not have been a boundary, or the boundary might not have been the best.
Yeah.
So that for me is that's where I can identify most with situations where the friendships were probably more so one-sided because I was overextending myself, wanting in the name of being helpful.
Yeah, same. I think it speaks to the persons I'm thinking about. It's like, it's always something like, I don't understand people. It's like always something. Can you just like not have one chill moment, one chill day, one chill life, one chill relationship?
No,
I just can't comprehend that, right? So it's just, and sometimes, and I'm not gonna say like I'm not like an empath, or I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel everything. Like, no, I'm not that person.
He is not.
I am that person.
You're not that person. I
am that person. Yes.
Chronic
I will feel everything.
trait.
Like you see like a video of somebody breaking a leg, I'm rubbing my leg.
No, so I'm not like necessarily an empath, but I'm lone suffering. That's, I have a lot of friends, like, yo, we've been through it, right? But it's like, when you kind of like, it's like both and, like, you always have something going on, but like Jazz said too, when you don't want to help yourself, I'm just like, okay, wait, so, everybody can't be the problem. Like, you can't keep a relationship, you can't keep a job, you can't see, like, come on now, like, let me give you some truth serum, like, think about that or whatnot. And yeah, sometimes those people aren't good for your mental health if they're not help you grow. I'm at the stage of my life where my relationships, unless they're like family, right? And you don't choose your family. But if you're not leading me like closer to Jesus or closer to being like, maybe let's say you're not a Christian, you could be Muslim, whatever. But leading me to be more Christ-like. And okay, hey Zaf, can you consider this, man? Make sure you do this, that, and the third. Like, those are the type of people that I'm trying to surround myself with friendships. And yeah, so I can't be stressed. I got too much stuff going on to be stressed. Like, real talk. So.
You got people counting on you.
Yeah, that part.
Like me, I count on you.
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons why we may have high functioning stress, I don't want to say disorder, but look at me, DSM-5 entry. No, but people are high functioning under stress is one of the things I want us to be mindful that we're not encouraging people to not feel like they can tell others, like, know who you can like go to and share if you need to. Maybe that's one of the ways you manage stress or stress relievers, to feel like you have an outlet, maybe that outlet is you writing it out. Maybe, not even maybe, the first thing I wanted to say, which I wanted to bring this all to, I feel like one of the best ways to manage stress is to go to the Father. However that looks for you when you talk to the Father, whatever that posture is, in prayer and just talking, but going to the Father first, that's how you manage your stress. And
wait, I shouldn't go to my friends?
Not saying you shouldn't go to your friends, but don't leave the Father out of that, because even like you said, knowing the friend to go to, and especially if you have those friends who are going to point you back to Christ, right. Or who's going to encourage you in the Word, who's going to, say, hey, can I pray with you about that situation? Have you talked to God about how to manage this situation? Maybe your interaction with that person is stressful because you weren't yielding the best fruit in the situation. So there's just a lot of different ways you could look. Have you asked God about the good things that you're doing that may not be the God things for you to be doing? So that was something I had to get back to. All good things are not God things, and that doesn't mean He doesn't want us to do good, but He doesn't need us to do everything, right? So has God released you to do that thing? Is that an assignment for someone else? Is this your season to be on that assignment? So that is a lesson I had to learn the hard way and learn many times.
No, that's really
because you're like, I'm doing a good thing. I'm doing a good thing. I'm doing a good thing. And those good things were getting out of hand.
Yeah.
It was getting out of hand.
I really love that. It's funny, when I was talking about all these relationships, we didn't talk about relationships to God with stress, right? Yeah. I really like how you phrase that, because you're right. The first relationship we should be concerned about is this one, from us to God, because once, He says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and His righteousness and all these things. So that concerns everything, all of our other relationships, everything else comes after that. That was awesome, Jeff.
All right. How much time do we have?
I don't think we have
What
any
is time?
What is time? Don't be stressed about the time, right?
I just wanted just to add very quickly, one of those stressful jobs that I had once, I really took the time to just give it to God because I was like, this is the job I have right now. I'm not going anywhere. It really helped my perspective and how I saw things at work. And it didn't necessarily change that it was a stressful environment, but it changed how I showed up to the point that even when it came time when they're like, oh, express your grievances, I was just like, because they knew I had some, but it was like an appointed time to share it. I know they were kind of looking at me like, what? You said like months ago that you had all these things. And then when it came to time, I was like, no. Yeah. Because I realized I changed how I looked at it. Yeah. And so I carried it differently. Yeah. And then God made an exit for me. So hallelujah.
Yeah. Amen.
Yeah, stress, it all is so tied to context. So I guess the better you can recontextualize what you're experiencing, the better you can handle said stress. Like, for example, like let's say, like for the doers out there, me being one, like you've lined up all the things you have to do or think you have to do, right? What if you could, instead of attaching a burden mentally to that thing you're doing, attach something good that you know is going to come from it, or something that makes you look forward to it. So now it's not a drain so much as it is a whatever other cool word you can put there, where it's like something that builds you up rather than breaking you down, right? Like, for example, I started mowing my own lawn this year.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, it's kind of satisfying. Like, and I treat my grass, and now it's like pretty green. It's looking real good. And I cut the lawn, and the grass is looking kind of nice. You know what I'm saying?
You're
So
like,
it's
homeowner, resume, landscaper.
Yeah, you know,
it's legit,
right?
I'm getting faster, more efficient with it. You know, it's kind of that satisfaction from it. Even though it's a task, it has to be done. It takes an hour on any given evening or the weekend or whatever. But like, it's a good thing, right? So add something you can take pride in on that one thing. Yeah, but time is far spent. And we thank you for joining us for part 2.
Thank you.
The stress has produced.
Praise God.
Yes.
So yes, as she reduces her stress and departs from the studio, just focus on ways that you can experience life in a more healthy way. Stress is inevitable, but it's all about how you contextualize it and how you handle it with the people that you love. So,
God first.
And God first.
God first. And everything else follows. When you see God first, everything else falls into place. Well, with that, we bid you adieu. And as always, heal responsibly. See you next time.
Peace.